Welcome, deeply curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a pretty profound journey, I think. We're trying to unravel one of life's big puzzles.
Yeah, the really big ones. Like, what does it actually mean to live a good life
Yeah.
or find real success?
Exactly. And how to lead effectively, yourself and others. It's something people have wrestled with for, well, forever, hasn't it?
The millennia. Absolutely. From philosophers to leaders to just everyday folks trying to figure it out.
So our mission here today is to dig into some really remarkable wisdom. We've gathered this incredible mix of sources, really diverse stuff.
Yeah, it's quite a range. We're talking ancient Greek and Roman philosophy right alongside powerful historical speeches.
And modern self-help, leadership guides, even insights from key civil rights figures. Think Seneca and Aristotle next to, say, Dale Carnegie or Tony Robbins.
Or even someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's this amazing tapestry of thought, and the goal is to pull out those practical nuggets, those surprising connections for you, the listener.
Right? Insights you can actually use for navigating your own life, dealing with people, making a contribution, that kind of thing.
And what's really striking, as we'll see, is how these common threads just keep popping up, despite, thousands of years and totally different cultures separating these thinkers.
It's wild, isn't it? Roman Stoics talking about inner peace, American motivators on sales techniques, activists fighting for justice.
And yet, they often land on similar core ideas about human nature, about what works. It's like this universal language of striving and wisdom.
So think of this as equipping you with a wider lens, helping you see challenges, opportunities, maybe in a new light, sparking some of those aha moments.
Yeah, bridging that ancient wisdom with the dilemmas we all face right now today.
Okay, so where do we start this journey?
Well, I think you've hit on a key point there. It's compelling how these core questions, purpose, action, influence, keep emerging. We see all these different takes on the same basic human issues.
Right.
So let's begin by zooming right in on the individual. How do we actually cultivate that inner power, that internal landscape, to even see opportunity and, drive our own success?
Okay.
It really starts from within. And there's a very famous parable that gives us a potent, almost gut-wrenching lesson right off the bat.
Ah, you must mean Acres of Diamonds. That's a classic. Sets the stage perfectly for thinking about where opportunity really lies.
Exactly. Originally told by Russell H. Conwell.
So picture this ancient Persian farmer, Ali Hafed. By all accounts, a successful guy. Content.
Had it made, really. Huge fertile farm, orchards, grain fields, gardens, money, family, peace. Pretty much the dream.
Yeah, Conwell says he was contented because he was wealthy, and wealthy because he was contented. A really nice balance.
A state we probably all aspire to, right?
Yeah.
But then things change. A Buddhist priest visits, a wise man from the East.
Right, and this priest gives this vivid description of the world's creation. Fire, cooling rock, metals.
And then diamonds, describing them as like solidified drops of sunshine. Really poetic and alluring stuff.
And that description just lights a fire under Ali Hafed. Suddenly, the contentment he had, gone, replaced by this consuming desire.
He needed diamonds, not just a few. He wanted to be the wealthiest man on earth.
Yeah.
That sparkle completely overshadowed everything he already had.
So what does he do? He sells his amazing farm for practically nothing, leaves his family.
Yeah, just walks away from it all
No.
and sets off on this massive, grueling journey across continents, searching everywhere for these diamonds.
Endures hardship, poverty, searching.
He makes absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Dies a pauper, alone, heartbroken. Just a devastating story arc.
It really is. But the kicker, the real twist, comes after he's gone, right?
Exactly. The story doesn't end there. A few days later, that same Buddhist priest visits the new owner of Ali Hafed's old farm.
And they're walking through the house, and the priest spots something shiny on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, flashlight. He rushes over, recognizes it instantly. A diamond! Has Ali Hafed returned?
But the new owner's just like, nah, that's just a rock I found in the garden. A weird bit of white sand. Totally casual about it.
But the priest knows better. He insists they go look in the garden. They stir the sand, and boom, more gems. Even more beautiful ones.
And this turns out to be the legendary Golconda diamond mine, the source of world-famous diamonds, like the Kohinoor, right there, in Ali Hafed's old garden.
The very place he abandoned. It's almost unbearably ironic.
It's gut-wrenching. The wealth he died searching for was literally under his feet the whole time. It just hammers home that point. What we're looking for might be right here.
Exactly. But how do we see it? How do we cultivate that perception, that presence, to notice the opportunities around us instead of always chasing the next horizon?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is, and it's so relevant today. Conwell wasn't just telling a nice story. He was pointing out a fundamental human bias.
The grass is greener thing?
Right. We're kind of conditioned by society, by social media maybe, to think the big chances are somewhere else. A different job, a different city, the next big trend. We get stuck seeking novelty.
So we overlook what's already here.
Precisely. Real perception starts with honestly looking at your current situation. Your skills, your network, your resources. Right now.
Like stepping back from wanting something new and asking, what have I already got that I haven't fully explored?
Exactly. What soil haven't you tilled yet? Think about innovators. Often they didn't invent something brand new. They just connected existing ideas or repurposed old tech in a new way.
Finding the potential in the familiar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seeing the value isn't always shiny and new. Sometimes you have to dig for it right in your own backyard, like those diamonds. It requires a shift in perspective.
And Conwell had other examples too, didn't he? It wasn't just literal diamonds.
Oh, yeah. He told that story about the Massachusetts farmer, a professor of mineralogy, no less.
Yes. Sold his farm.
Without realizing there's a huge chunk of native silver, like 8 inches square, built right into a stone fence. He apparently sat on the fence, on the silver, while making the deal to sell the place.
The irony. An expert missing enormous wealth right under him. It just reinforces your point. Expertise isn't enough if you're not observing what's immediately around you.
Exactly. Our focus on what we expect to find elsewhere can blind us. And it's not just about riches. Conwell talked about overlooked everyday needs, too.
Like the jackknife story.
Yeah, from his father's country store. People kept coming in asking for simple jackknives. And he, as a kid, just said, nope, don't have them, and didn't think twice.
But that constant demand, even for something small,
It was a clear signal, an unmet need, a missed opportunity for service, and, yeah, for profit, too.
that's such a great, simple point. Makes you wonder, what are the jackknives in our own lives? Simple needs we could meet, skills we have, problems right here we could solve.
Right. It's about noticing those consistent little gaps. And Conwell tied this to a broader idea, maybe a bit controversial.
The bit about rich men being honest.
Yeah, he claimed 98 out of 100 of the rich men of America are honest. His argument wasn't that wealth makes you good, but that honesty and integrity are why they got rich and trusted.
So genuine service, done ethically, builds trust and value, which leads to sustainable wealth.
That was his take. He believed that kind of ethical conduct, carrying your religion or moral plan into business, was key to long-term success and avoiding failure or shady practices. It's a strong case for ethics being profitable.
Interesting. Wealth not as conquest, but as a result of trusted service. And speaking of observing needs, John Jacob Astor's bonnet strategy is brilliant.
Oh, totally. A masterclass in responsive leadership.
Yeah.
Instead of just guessing what hats women wanted,
You went and watched them. Sat in the park where fashionable ladies walked.
meticulously observing the exact shape of the frame, the color of the trim, how the feathers crinkled. He was doing real-time market research.
Just by looking closely.
Then he'd go tell his shop staff, make one bonnet exactly like this, put it in the window, and wait. No mass production based on guesswork.
It wasn't about pushing product. It was about deeply understanding the desire first. Striving smarter, not just harder.
Precisely. Shifting from what do I want to sell to what do people actually want or need based on sharp observation.
Okay, so that observational skill is key. But that leads perfectly into cultivating inner greatness, doesn't it? Because you need the right mindset, the right beliefs, the resilience inside you first, before you can really spot those diamonds or serve those needs effectively.
Absolutely. It starts internally. And Tony Robbins has some really powerful takes on this. He says our beliefs act like unquestioned commands to our nervous systems.
Wow, that's strong. They can expand or destroy the possibilities of our present and future.
Yeah, it highlights how self-fulfilling they can be. He uses that jukebox analogy. Our brain is like a jukebox, and our beliefs choose which tracks, which experiences or capabilities we access.
So if you believe you can, your system gears up for it. If you believe you can't, it shuts down possibilities.
Pretty much. The practical takeaway is huge. We need to consciously take control of those beliefs. Robbins also stresses how positive states influenced not just by thoughts, but by our physiology, like posture or breathing, lead to success.
Carry yourself confidently and your mind follows.
Often, yes, it's a feedback loop.
I like that jukebox idea. puts the choice back in our hands. And it connects to reframing, too, which Robbins talks a lot about.
Definitely. Context reframing, meaning reframing.
Mm.
Ways to turn setbacks into advantages. A failure becomes feedback, a learning opportunity.
He mentions W. Mitchell, right? The guy who faced horrific accidents but reframed it all as growth.
Exactly. Contrasting him with people who see similar things as insurmountable. It really comes down to how you choose to interpret events, taking control of your internal narrative.
And that narrative fuels everything: motivation, resilience.
It really does. And speaking of internal narratives, Les Brown's mom had her own unique style of positive affirmation,
Laughs. Yeah, the hard head makes for a soft behind approach.
right? Physically reinforcing his potential. You're going to be something. There ain't nothing wrong with you. Unconventional, maybe, but deeply felt belief.
It shows affirmations come in all forms. And Zig Ziglar had that great practical advice, too. Spreading optimism.
Oh, his classic response. How you doing?
Super good, but I'll get better.
He truly believed if you claim the feeling, declare it, you'll soon have it. Act your way into feeling better.
It's amazing how consistent that theme is. Robbins, Brown's mom, Ziglar. Our internal state and outward expression are linked, and we can influence them.
Totally intertwined. And Les Brown also shared that really poignant story about his friend after the heart attack.
Oh, yeah, the 2 rules for life.
Rule number 1, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Rule number 2, it is all small stuff.
Wow. Talk about perspective shift after facing death. It just cuts through all the daily anxiety, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Enjoy life, get on the field, stop worrying about things that, in the end, don't really matter.
Which is most things, probably. And thinking about internal states, Brene Brown's work on guilt versus shame is so important here, too.
Crucial distinction. We mix them up all the time, but they're fundamentally different.
Guilt is, I did something bad. Focuses on behavior.
Right. Shame is, I am bad. Attacks your core self-worth.
And that difference is huge for how we react. Shame makes you want to hide, blame, protect yourself. It disconnects.
Whereas guilt, though uncomfortable, can actually be productive.
Hmm.
It targets the action so you can apologize, fix it, learn from it. It can lead to change.
So understanding that helps build resilience, worthiness. If you mess up, like forgetting a lunch date, shame says, I'm an idiot, terrible friend, makes you avoid the person.
Guilt says, wow, that was a crappy thing to do. I need to apologize. It can lead to repair. Shame often digs the hole deeper.
Yeah, and she applies this everywhere, right? Parenting, workplaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In parenting, kids seeing parents admit mistakes and fix them is powerful. Like the mom going back to pay for the soda she forgot teaches integrity.
Instead of pretending it didn't happen.
Right. And in organizations, you need to address problematic behavior without shaming the person. Focus on systems, actions, not attacking worth. Ignoring shame is dangerous, kills trust. Innovation.
Huge implications for leadership. And connecting this internal well-being stuff, Seneca, the Roman Stoic, had this incredibly modern take on joy.
Yeah, he argued real joy is something solid. It comes from your own store, from your very self.
Not from external stuff like money or fame.
Exactly. He urged people to despise that external glitter. Instead, recognize we're born to these perils: death, loss, pain. Accepting life's fragility isn't pessimism, it's liberating.
So true happiness is internal, a state of mind not dependent on what happens outside.
That's the Stoic ideal, an inner fortress. External things, pleasures, unless you have extreme self-control, can lead you to sorrow. It's about cultivating that inner sanctuary.
A powerful idea, especially today with all the external pressures. Okay, so we've got recognizing opportunity, building inner strength. How do we translate that into action? Moving towards goals. Les Brown had some really practical steps.
He did. Goals need to be, first, well-defined, crystal clear. Vague hopes don't work.
Right. Second, realistic. State representative before president, maybe.
Third, exciting and meaningful to you. Gotta fuel your own fire. Fourth, lock in your mind. Visualization helps.
Like his friend Sarah seeing her shoes in the closet of the house she wanted.
Exactly. Making it real internally first.
Yeah.
And fifth, most importantly,
Yeah.
you gotta act on them. Consistent steps.
A goal without action is just a wish. And Tony Robbins echoes that idea of continuous striving, doesn't he? Success isn't an endpoint.
No, it's a journey. As you reach your goals, set new ones. Keep evolving. Keep growing.
Which ties into that idea that it's not just what you get, but who you become in the process.
Perfectly. And that brings us to Simon Sinek's Start with Why. Such a powerful concept for leadership and influence.
The golden circle. Why, how, what?
Exactly. Great leaders inspire by communicating their purpose, their core belief, not just what they do or how they do it.
He uses that Southwest Airlines example, right? Other airlines copied their low fares, the how, but failed because they didn't have Southwest's why.
Right. Southwest Y was about democratizing air travel, making it fun and accessible. That core belief drove everything. The others just copied the surface tactics.
So the why connects on an emotional trust level, not just logic.
Exactly. It hits the limbic brain loyalty, decision-making. People buy why you do it. And maintaining clarity on that why is crucial as you grow, whether you're a person or a company. Keeps the message pure.
Makes sense. And it applies personally, too. Knowing your why guides your choices. Zig Ziglar hammered this home, too. What you get is not nearly as important as what you become.
Absolutely. He called failure the line of least persistence. Success is often just sticking with it, believing, working through the tough spots. The journey transforms you.
The value is in the person you had to become to get there, the resilience, the learning.
It's a great call to action. And Ziegler even threw down that challenge. What 5 things have you been meaning to do but put off? Do them now.
Oof. No excuses. Okay, that feels like a great pivot point. We've built the inner foundation, set the direction. But how do we actually use that power to connect, to lead, to influence others?
Yeah, how does that personal power translate outward? That takes us right into the art of influence, communication, leadership, and public life.
All right, let's dive into that. How do we effectively communicate and persuade?
We can start right back in ancient Greece with Aristotle.
Yeah.
He laid out this brilliant framework for rhetoric, breaking speech down into 3 main types based on purpose.
Okay, what were they?
First, deliberative. That's future-focused. Advising, persuading towards or against something. Think political debates on policy, what's best for the future. The focus is on expediency.
Makes sense. What's next?
Judicial. That's past-focused. Accusing or defending. Courtroom arguments about what happened, who's responsible. The focus is on justice.
Got it. And the third?
Epideictic, or display speech. That's present-focused. Praising or blaming. Think eulogies, award speeches, commencement addresses. The focus is on honor or dishonor, affirming values.
Interesting framework. And Aristotle really stressed character ethos, didn't he?
Hugely. He said if you don't have strong logical arguments, his enthemes, then speak so as to convey character. He even felt it was more fitting for a good person to seem honest than for their argument to be perfectly precise.
Wow. So credibility and trustworthiness can sometimes trump pure logic.
In the audience's perception, absolutely. It's about who they believe you are. He also noted that refuting an opponent's argument is often more effective than just presenting your own case directly,
Why is that?
because the contrast makes the logical conclusion clearer. Showing what's not true makes the truth stand out more sharply when they're side by side.
Oh, clever. Okay, so that's Aristotle. What about the Romans? Cicero.
Cicero took it even further. He imagined the ideal order as this incredibly well-rounded person, needing, like, the logician's subtlety, the philosopher's thoughts, a poet's feeling.
A jurist's memory, a tragedian's voice, an actor's gestures. It's an incredibly demanding list.
Totally. It shows just how holistic he thought effective communication was. Not just smarts, but empathy, charisma, stage presence. The whole package.
And he emphasized winning favor, stirring emotion, but warned against going overboard.
Yeah, no exaggeration or hurry. Eloquence should be measured. He liked wit and humor, but even he got criticized for joking too much sometimes. A fine line between engaging and distracting.
And that echoes Conwell's point about using words carefully. Precision matters.
Absolutely. Careless words erode trust. Okay, fast forward a bit. Dale Carnegie. How to win friends and influence people. He really nailed the relational side of influence.
Oh yeah, that bill collection story is amazing.
Isn't it? The rep doesn't demand payment. He calls up and says, basically, help me understand what we did wrong here.
Completely flips the script. No accusation, just empathy. Says the company isn't perfect, makes the customer the expert on the problem.
Then just listens. Lets the guy vent for like an hour. Builds massive rapport.
Right. Makes him feel totally heard and valued.
Only then, when the guy's calm and reasonable, does he appeal to his sense of fair play. Asks him to adjust the bill fairly, as if he were the boss.
Turns confrontation into collaboration. Brilliant.
It's all about making the other person feel understood first. And Carnegie also talked about giving someone a reputation to live up to.
The mechanic, Bill. Who is
Yeah.
slacking off?
Yeah, the boss calls him in, but instead of yelling, says how much he respects Bill's skill, remembers how great he used to be.
And Bill just snaps back into being a great mechanic again.
Exactly. It confirms that observation by Samuel Vauquelin. People can be led easily if you respect them and show you respect their abilities. People want to live up to positive expectations.
It's a powerful psychological insight. And Tony Robbins builds on this relational stuff too, with understanding communication styles.
Yeah, recognizing if someone's primarily visual, auditory, or kinesthetic,
Hmm.
do they say, I see it, that sounds good, or I feel that's right?
And mirroring that language helps build rapport.
Definitely. Speaking their language, he calls it pacing and leading. First, you pace, subtly mirror their style, gestures, keywords to connect. Then, once you have rapport, you can gently lead them towards your point or a new perspective.
That's pretty sophisticated, understanding their internal world. But this all bumps up against that older philosophical debate, doesn't it? Rhetoric versus truth. Plato had some strong feelings.
Oh, huge critique. Through Socrates, especially in the Gorgias dialogue, he basically slams rhetoric if it's just about persuasion without knowledge of right and wrong.
He called it, what, a knack? Flattery, not a real art.
Yeah, like cooking is to medicine just aiming for pleasure, not true health. He argued it's dangerous if you can convince people of anything, true or not.
And he had that paradoxical idea about power, that tyrants and orators acting without wisdom don't really do what they want because true power is good and acting unwisely is bad for the actor.
Right. He famously argued doing wrong harms the doer more than the victim because it corrupts their soul. For Plato, true rhetoric, as he outlines later in Phaedrus, needs to be grounded in truth and philosophy. The true rhetorician is a dialectician, seeking truth, understanding souls.
A super high bar, requiring deep wisdom and morality, not just slick talking.
Absolutely. But then you get Quintilian, the Roman guy, who tried to find a more practical but still virtuous middle ground.
He saw rhetoric as a science of speaking well, useful, an art, a virtue.
Exactly. He criticized rhetoricians who just focused on fancy words, meretricious finery, instead of the power of words to represent facts and truth.
And his ideal orator had to be a good man.
Yes, courteous, kind, moderate, benevolent, but also capable of passion for the public good, fighting injustice. Morality was foundational.
Not just for show, but for real impact.
And he stressed adapting your style. You don't talk to an emperor the same way you talk to a farmer or the Senate the same way you talk to a rowdy crowd.
He used examples from Homer, right, showing different kinds of eloquence.
Yeah, Menelaus, concise, exact. Nestor's speech, sweet as honey. Ulysses, powerful, vehement like a snowstorm. Shows there's not just one way to be effective. Adaptability is key.
Okay, so adaptability, ethics, clarity. How does this play out in actual leadership? Leadership in action. Theodore Roosevelt seems like a prime example.
Absolutely. His vision was so clear. Legislation to be permanently good for any class must also be good for the nation as a whole, connecting class interest with national interest.
And his view on business, making money by serving others.
Right. If the service is great, we wish the reward to be great, linking profit to public benefit. And his long-term view was incredible.
The people unborn quote.
Yes. The term for the people must always include the people unborn, or the democratic ideal is not realized. That foresight drove his massive conservation efforts, national parks, forests, monuments, thinking generations ahead.
Amazing stewardship. And for sheer power of commitment, JFK's inaugural address.
Unforgettable. Let every nation know we shall pay any price, bear any burden, to assure the survival and the success of liberty. Just crystal clear resolve in a dangerous time.
Leaves no doubt where he stood. And Demosthenes in ancient Athens, urging self-reliance.
Yeah, telling the Athenians not to wait for others to save them from Philip of Macedon. Rely on yourselves. And ending his speech saying he'd spoken plainly in the hope of doing good. That directness, serving the public interest, even if the message is tough.
That plain speaking reminds me of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's judicial leadership style. She valued unanimous decisions.
Right. Because the court speaks with greater force when it is not fractured. Like Brown v. Board of Education, unanimity sent a powerful message.
But she also fiercely defended dissent, didn't she?
Oh, absolutely. Dissents weren't bad. They expressed honestly held convictions. But she cautioned against rhetoric that generated more heat than light. Keep it focused on legal argument, aimed at progress, not just angry outburst.
Vigorous but respectful disagreement, a nuanced view.
Exactly. And her broader philosophy about diversity and inclusion, proving we all profit from understanding and celebrating difference, while pulling together for the common good.
She saw affirmative action as crucial to making equality real, not just aspirational, using the law to drive societal change.
A true legacy of leadership through principled action and legal strategy. Which leads us right into our final section, navigating life's deep waters. Resilience, justice, meaning, the really tough stuff.
Yeah, how do we handle adversity? Find meaning when things fall apart, contribute to something bigger. Where do we start?
Viktor Frankl's experience in the concentration camps is just profound. His insights into survival and meaning are incredible.
He observed that lack of meaning was often more devastating than lack of food. That's counterintuitive.
Astonishingly so. It highlights how critical our psychological state is. His own survival, he felt, was fueled by holding on to memories of his wife and the hope, the purpose of someday teaching the lessons he was learning.
So meaning can be a lifeline, even in the absolute worst circumstances.
Absolutely. He saw suffering not just as something to endure, but potentially as a human achievement, especially if it leads to finding meaning. He insisted we always retain the freedom to change, to choose our attitude, our response.
That freedom to choose your attitude even when everything else is taken away? Powerful. And Seneca the Stoic also talked about preparing for hardship, right?
He did, reminding us our bodies are frail, pain can come from anywhere. His advice: mentally prepare. Think of everything that can happen as something which will happen.
Not to be morbid, but to be ready.
Exactly. Proactive mental preparation. By contemplating potential loss or pain, we rehearse our response, making us more resilient when it actually happens. Use the thought of death not to despair, but to measure how bravely you're living now.
It's a kind of mental armor, which feels different from Elie Wiesel's struggle with memory after the Holocaust.
A very different kind of burden. Wiesel wrestled with that terrible dilemma, feeling obligated to make people remember, but knowing the full horror is impossible to convey, even for him.
The weight of being a witness.
Immense. But his purpose became crystal clear: teaching against hate, arguing that religion's true role is connection, ethics, not division or violence, turning unimaginable suffering into a universal moral lesson.
Transforming personal pain into a call for collective compassion. And speaking of compassion in everyday life, David Foster Wallace's "This is Water" speech.
Ah, yes. So practical. He challenges us to make a conscious choice about how we see people in those frustrating daily moments.
Like traffic jams, supermarket lines.
Instead of assuming the worst, that Hummer driver is a jerk, consider maybe they're rushing a sick kid to the hospital. Maybe the bored-looking people in line have incredibly tough lives.
It's not about being naive. It's about choosing empathy over automatic irritation, seeing others as complex humans, not just obstacles.
It's a daily practice against our default self-centeredness, and that kind of empathy naturally connects to the larger fight for justice and equality, challenging systemic unfairness.
Few embodied that fight like Sojourner Truth, her president at that women's rights convention in 1853, facing hostility as a black woman.
And standing calm and dignified. Her directness was stunning. If women want any rights, why don't they just take them and not be talking about it?
So bold, demanding agency, not just asking politely. And her statement about the black woman entering,
When and where I enter, then and there the whole Negro race enters with me. Profound articulation of intersectionality, way ahead of its time, understanding how race and gender oppression were linked, and that her liberation was tied to her entire communities.
her lived experience gave her such clarity. And that call for rights echoes in Elizabeth Cady Stanton's Declaration of Sentiments, too.
Absolutely. A foundational document for women's rights in America. Model in the Declaration of Independence, demanding immediate admission to full citizenship rights.
And it listed all those grievances, right? Denied education, subordinate roles, different moral codes, efforts to crush their self-respect.
Laid it all out. And they knew they'd face ridicule and opposition, but committed to using every instrumentality to win. Pure determination and moral clarity.
That determination connects directly to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's legal fight against discrimination decades later.
Definitely. Her ACLU work challenged sex role pigeonholing, arguing distinctions based on sex, like race, have no basis in actual ability, chipping away at laws that assume traditional gender roles.
She helped dismantle that old anything goes standard the court used before 1971, which allowed blatant discrimination based on sex.
Right. And her later dissents, especially on reproductive rights, powerfully argued against laws trying to shield women by denying them choice, seeing it as rooted in outdated, discredited ideas about women's place, always connecting present law to historical bias.
Using the law persistently to push society towards real equality.
Okay, so this leads us to the final theme: compassion, connection, contributing to the collective good, the bigger picture.
Exactly. How does all this inner work and outer action ultimately serve something larger? Kurt Vonnegut had some really unique, poignant thoughts on connection and loneliness. Yeah, his idea that we're meant for larger family groups, like 50 people, and that modern nuclear families put impossible pressure on just 2 people.
It's provocative, isn't it? Suggesting our structure might be part of the problem. He felt we need that wider web of community.
So if those structures are weaker now, where do we find connection?
For Vonnegut, it was in the saints he met. Not religious figures, just ordinary people who behaved compassionately and capably no matter what. Everyday decency was what made life nearly worthwhile.
The quiet heroes. Basic kindness and competence matter immensely. And his Uncle Alex's phrase?
If this isn't nice, what is? Such a simple, perfect reminder to pause and appreciate the good moments. Be present to small joys.
Love that. And Theodore Roosevelt also talked about that collective well-being, didn't he? His democratic ideal.
Yeah, extending it to the people unborn, but also arguing that the misery of one class ultimately harms all classes. It's all interconnected. Ignoring suffering elsewhere is not just unjust, it's unwise for the whole society. A deeply empathetic and far-sighted view.
It's intergenerational and societal responsibility. And Ursula K. Le Guin challenged graduates to actively remake the world, right?
Fiercely. Don't cave to the status quo, which she said had failed us. She asked, how will your audacious and authentic new world work? A direct call to be architects of change.
And she stressed the responsibility that comes with education, with being lucky.
To live an examined life, embrace each moment, and crucially, she cut through the overwhelm by saying, it's not about being perfect, it's about getting started. Just begin. Take action, however imperfectly.
It's about getting started. That's a perfect note to bring this together. And Tony Robbins kind of closes the loop, doesn't he? Saying the ultimate power is collaboration for positive change.
Yeah, using persuasion and influence, not just for yourself, but for the collective good, shifting from purely self-interest to a broader altruistic impact.
Wow. Okay. What a journey. From Ali Hafid's farm to RBG's courtroom, Seneca's inner joy to Le Guin's call to action. We've covered so much ground: mindset, influence, resilience, justice, meaning.
It's amazing. And the core thread running through all these incredibly diverse sources seems to be about deliberate choice, doesn't it?
Choice in how we perceive things internally, our beliefs.
And choice in how we act externally, how we influence, how we engage with the world. Those choices shape everything.
Absolutely. Whether it's seeing the diamonds under our feet, communicating ethically, fighting injustice, or finding meaning in hardship, the power lies in our perception, our purpose, and our proactive engagement.
Which leaves us, and you, our listener, with a really important final thought to chew on. Considering everything we've discussed, if Zig Ziglar was right, that what you get by reaching your goals is not nearly as important as what you become by reaching them.
Then the question becomes, what kind of person are you consciously choosing to become with each choice you make? And, maybe just as importantly, how does the person you're becoming resonate with the collective good you hope to see in the world?